Is that 82%? No. So I gotta back it up to the 82% in order to get my algebra to work. So what was the credit sales? What was the credit sales in the month of January? Well, if that represents what? I'm waiting for you to give it to me. It represents the 45 and the 9. Add it together, divide it, then you'll back up to the credit sales amount, which is the 69,815. Okay?
Okay.
Now that I have that, I can now multiply that by the 45 and that by the 9. Let's just add it to make sure all the cash has come in. Okay? Now, let's go look at this one for homework. Okay. First of all, you know that each cell is worth an equal number of points, right? But you also know, because I told you on day one, I can override that. Here's where I did override it. Each one of these cells is worth only 1 point. Until you get down to these two and these two, and they're worth 18.5 points each. If you add it up, it will all come back. Well, if I'm putting 18.5 points, let's just say 18 points on each one of those cells, the algebra is probably going to be rather sporty. So, I know that. If you think back to 2071, when did you borrow the money on any budgeting question? When did you borrow the money? Beginning of the month or end of the month?
Beginning.
Oh, end of the month. If I take you to this class at other universities, all around the world, when do you borrow the money? Beginning or end of the month. Nobody wants to deal with the beginning of the month for a couple of reasons. One, because it's difficult. Two, how the heck are you going to grade it? Because you've got to look at each student's file. And I got that solved. Is it difficult? Yes. And am I going to give you some help? Yes, a whole bunch of help. So here's the first help, right on this line here. I tell you what the balance should be at the end of December. There's 2 months here. There's 2 months. That final cell, I tell you exactly what the dollar amount should be. So when you get your algebra in these cells, if you don't agree with that dollar amount, you've probably got a mistake in your algebra. Okay? So that's nice to have a check number. The next thing is, I give you some help over here. Let's do it. Now, 6 o'clock Sunday night, the quiz is due. And there's a whole bunch of you who are doing magnificently. Some people struggle. There are people who will send the quiz in Friday and Saturday, and 5 o'clock on Sunday, there'll be a flurry of activity. If you leave this till 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, you are going to get a terrible grade. Now, I know what some of you do. You say, okay, I'll sacrifice the problem and I'll redo the multiple choice. You need to know what I've gone and done. I've given you 30. If you do the retake, you'll get 50 multiple choice on the retake. That stops you playing a game with me. You've got to be honest. I know the game you play, and I've got to think about it for next semester. And I think I know how to solve it. Because you look at which is the difficult part, and because of the averaging and the weighted average, you're able to do bad on one thing and retake, still get up into the 90s. I don't. I mean, just be honest with it. Okay, so in order to counter that, you'll get 50 multiple choice and then numerics. So you don't want to do that. Get this problem right. Here's why I want you to get it right. Because when you get it right, you'll feel good. You'll feel good. Because it's not trivial. You know when you do trivial work and you get it right, you don't feel great. You get this right, you will feel great. Okay? So let's do it. I'm going to give you some help. First of all, I tell you what the balance should be. Everyone okay with me on that? Now, the problem here is that you must borrow at the beginning of the month, just like banks make you do. Well, the issue is what's called circular reference. Watch this. Equals that, okay? Now I come down here, equals that, okay? And I have what is called a circular reference error. That's the problem. That's why us professors don't want to deal with this question. Just let the students do borrowing at the end of the month. Easy. I get no interruptions at home. Student gets 100%, they're happy. So that's our problem. We're going to have a circular reference. So I give you a help. Hint, the borrowing is at the beginning of the month. Well, it said that up the top. Don't forget it. Therefore, your algebra needs the following. What you borrow needs to include the interest to be paid. Okay? And the interest to be paid is a function of the current balance and what you need to borrow. That's two cells referring to each other. That's the circular reference that I just demonstrated to you. Can't do that. It's an error. So, how are we going to get rid of it? Well, first of all, I want you to recognize that I'm not asking you to do rocket science here. High school algebra. It is high school algebra. And if you'll just recognize that and stick with it until you get it right, you'll feel good. Let's get started. Now, high school algebra. What algebra am I talking about? Two linear equations. Let's just make up two. 2x plus 3y equals x. I'm just making them up. X plus 4y equals 15. Remember that from high school? And you had to do what? You had to solve for x and y, and the way you solve for x and y is by substitution and rearranging. That's what we've got here. That's what we've got here. But is mine messy? And that is elementary. That's elementary. Mine's messy. You had better be careful. And are you going to sit here and type the formula? Are you? You're not going to do it. You get that piece of paper out, you go to the kitchen table, bring your laptop and look at it, but take that piece of paper and do what I'm about to do. I get you started. Dawn has said to me, you almost finish it. Maybe you shouldn't give them so much. I said, let's do it this semester, and next semester, this may all disappear. Maybe. Okay? Okay, maybe. But he's right. I almost do it for you. Let's get started. First of all, do what? Do what? Create two linear equations. We're going to create them. We'd be given them, wouldn't we, in high school?
Yeah.
We've got to create them. We've got to create them. Now, this is a circular reference. Circular reference because x is in each and y is in each. That's a problem. It's a problem. So let's create our two equations. So first of all, x is my amount to borrow. Amount of interest is I. You see why you need to take this piece of paper? Take the piece of paper. X is a function of. I don't know. Be patient with me. Y, the interest is a function of. Okay, well, let's go to the next stage. Start like a baby learning to walk. Crawl. Let's do it gradually. And you're going to surprise yourself. X is equal to what? Minus I-35, okay? What's I-35? The excess deficiency of cash before financing effects. Okay? I-35 plus, what's Y? Y is the interest. Because, just like the multiple choice question, this number doesn't have the interest. Look, here's the interest sitting right here. That's not in your cash deficiency yet. Because interest is calculated at 5 o'clock, January the 31st, isn't it? Okay? So, I-35, the result from operations, that's taking place every day. So, come down here. X is equal to that negative I-35, which gives me a positive, plus that interest. Okay, so I even give you your positive and negatives to get you right. Let's take it further. Well, before we do that, let's fill in the interest. What's the interest equal to? Interest is equal to H38. What is H38? The balance of borrowing at the beginning of the month plus what's I-38? This is what gives the circular reference. The amount we have to borrow at the beginning of the month times H18, which is the interest rate, and because the interest rate was given to you as a annual, I've got to get it back to monthly. Okay? So, now that I have Y, there's Y, I can take Y and substitute it where?
Into the extra.
Just like you would have done in high school. With me? So I substitute. Now I get my new X. Okay? So I've gotten rid of the circular reference. It's gone. Got rid of it. You say, well, that was easy. We're about 20% of the way there. Now, let's go to the problem. We only want to borrow if we have to. Remember the if statement from before? So here comes my if statement. And what do I do now? I say borrow. No, can you believe people went and stuck that in the cell last semester and handed in not borrow, borrow? Of course it gave an error message. And I said to them, what did you do? I said, because you told us. Folks, you've got to figure out the algebra that's going to go in here. You've already told me what not borrow is. What should that be?
0.
Good. Good. Okay? Now, borrow. How much are you going to borrow?
You have to do it in increments.
Got to do it in increments. Did we do something today that will help you with the increments?
Yes.
Good. Now, was it that bad? You got to put it together. Got to put it together. Now, that's that bit. That's that bit. Okay? Solve for X and Y, just as you would do it in high school. And you've gotten rid of the circular reference problem. Now, once we do that, we've got our formula for short-term borrowing, and we've got our formula for interest. But you know that this cell here is also worth 18 points. But there's no circular reference problem there. Okay? There's no circular reference problem. But let's have a look. Let's move this over so we can see the pop-up. Ah, there's no roundup because there's no increments. You're repaying the money. You're repaying the money. But there's a min. I wonder why. What do you think?
That's our minimum balance. Or not balance, it's partial.
Well, let's say you've got $100 owing and you got $200 in the bank. You're going to give them the 200?
No.
You're going to give them the 100. So that's why you need that min. The min will help you to determine exactly how many dollars we need to give back to the bank. Okay, so you need an if there. And you're only going to repay if you have something borrowed. And you're going to, so you need if, but you also need if, again, first of all, you only need if, you only need to repay if you've got something borrowed. And you only need to repay if you've got cash available that's more than the minimum balance. So you got two ifs. You got two ifs. Again, are you going to sit here and start typing if inside another if? Or are you going to go and lay it out on a piece of paper? Lay it out on a piece of paper. That's why I'm giving you 18 points for these 4 cells. Now, once you've figured it out for one cell, what do? Copy and paste. Copy and paste. Okay? So maybe I should have just put 36 points, 1.1 point. Okay. I mean, if I do any more, I'll finish it. But I've still left you quite a bit to do. But we've covered everything. But you've got to give time to it. Now listen, this is the hardest one we've done all semester. The most difficult one. Listen, same applies to me. Can you do it? You can. I had students from last semester get 100% on this. So they can do it. Now, if you will start it on Friday, okay, don't wait until Saturday and Sunday, just start it now. And after an hour, take a break. Maybe wait until Saturday. Do you know what the word serendipity means? I'm not dreaming this up, but it's very important in research. Even the medical people talk about it. By chance, you discover something. That's called serendipity. So you're driving down the road. You're probably not with your girlfriend, you guys, because you won't be thinking about this. But while you're driving down the road, you do think about the problem. And what's serendipity? It just comes to you. It's gnawing at your mind. If you'll get away from the piece of it, get away from the spreadsheet, go do something. And while you're doing it, It's gnawing at your mind, and you'll get it. Something falls into place. And until you experience that, you won't experience the real joy of thinking. Thinking. Okay? But it happens in all areas of change. Ready to go do it? Let's see how many people get 100%. I hope many of you get 100% on this.